Hi everyone, I'm Rushita Shah. I am a third year medical student, MBBS student in BJ Medical College, Ahmedabad. So today we'll do structure, organization and animals. We'll first see the overview of the chapter, key chapter, what is it about, kya hai isme, what we should know, what is important, and then we'll solve the exercise questions. So the structural organization in animals. In this chapter, basically, आपको सारे ऑर्गेनाइज द ऑर्गन सिस्टम जैसे ह्यूमन बींग्स में होती है वैसे ही एनिमल्स में होती है. सो यू हैव ऑल द डिस्क्रिप्शन की फ्रॉग में पर्टिकुलरली हाउ इज द ऑर्गन सिस्टम डेवलप्ड, फंक्शन क्या है जो हमारे ह्यूमन बॉडी में उससे कोरिलेट करता है कि नहीं. सो दैट इज अबाउट द चैप्टर. सो इसमें इंट्रोडक्टरी पैराग्राफ्स में तो व्हाट इज ऑर्गन सिस्टम, कितने प्लांट्स में कैसी होती है, एनिमल्स में कैसी होती है, एज the maturity of the animal increases, the organ system level is also developed more. So वैसे ही दिया है. And particularly in frog, the organ system is very much like in human beings because frog is a developed animal. So the organ system resembles the human beings. So then there is a overview summary of organ systems of the generally of animals of plants, and then it comes the particularly now in frog what happens. So frog can live on both land and water. We all know that it is an amphibian, and there are certain characteristics in frogs which are not found in human beings, like they do not have a constant body temperature. So a frog's body temperature will vary with the environment they are in. If they are in cold environment, their body temperature will be different. They don't have a set point of body temperature like in us. So they are called cold-blooded animals. The animals who do not have a regular body temperature are cold-blooded. And then there is the morphology of frog. So the morphology is basically the gross features in an animal or a plant. So in frog, what are the gross features? Like the body of frog here has head, eye, the part is trunk, and then there are forelimbs and the hind limbs. So this is the external features of frog. Then the color, the variation, the environment the frog lives in, that is described here. And then comes the anatomy of frog. So basically, frog also has many organ systems like human beings. Digestive system is present in there. Urinary system is there. Cardiovascular system is there. Then nervous system is also present in the frog. So this is the diagram of the digestive as well as the excretory system of the frog. And also there's heart. So basically there are many internal organs in this diagram as we can see. So and the anatomy is described of all the structures present in all the systems like digestive system में frog में कौन से structures है, हम में mouth, esophagus, stomach वैसे होता है. ऐसे frog में क्या है, what is difference in that is described over here. And then over here, this is the important part of the chapter. Here, all the functions of different organ system are described in the frog. So basically, digestive system में function क्या क्या है frog में, then excretory system में क्या है, cardiovascular system में how it is different from us. Like there, here we can see there are 3 chambers in a frog's heart. We have 4 chambers, right? So frog has only 3 chambers. So that way there's difference. So obviously the function of heart would be different in frog. Because of that, then here is the excretory system of the frog. How are the waste excreted? Like frog maybe there are kidneys, there are ureters, and kidney also has nephrons like us in frog also. So how are the waste eliminated in frogs? But frogs are, here you can see, they are ureolytic animals. Ureolytic animals are the ones which excrete urea. So they are called ureolytic animals. So frog is a ureolytic animal. And this last para is the nervous system of frog. So like us, the frog also has a differentiated system for control and coordination. And there are also hormones in frogs obviously which differ from us. And then lastly, there are the sense organs in frog are described. And these are, you can see, female and male reproductive systems of a frog. So that's all about the chapter. In the chapter, it's basically a description of frog. Frog system as an animal, and frog is chosen because of the structural similarity with human beings. The anatomy is somewhat similar to human beings, so frog is chosen. So there are many things which are important. The diagrams are very important. From the NEET perspective, they can ask you the labeling of the diagrams, and from the exam point of view, they can ask you to draw and label the diagrams. So you need to practice them. At least the things given in NCERT are extremely important. You can see in the previous years also, there are questions from this part where direct NCERT questions about the frog are asked. So you should know that. Now, if we come to the exercise of this chapter, the first question is draw a neat diagram of a digest system of frog. From the neat perspective, you obviously don't have to draw the diagram. You will just need the labeling. So you should be very thorough with the labeling of the all the diagrams. So as you can see, this is the diagram where there's complete digestive system. So for exam point of view, you need to know how to draw it also. But if we talk only about me, then you should be thorough with all the labelings, where is the esophagus, the liver, the stomach, the rectum, the intestine. You should know all the parts. The labeling should be correct. So that is a pretty easy one. And the second question is mention the function of ureters in frog. So basically, in frogs, unlike us, the male and the female ureters have different functions. So in male frogs, the ureters does a work of both your excretory system and also the reproductive system. So it is a genitourinary tract in male frogs. So they carry urine also, and they help in reproduction also, the ureters. And in females, it is just an excretory organ, so the ureters help in passing of urine from the kidneys to the urinary bladder. So that's simple. But in males, you should remember that it is a genitourinary tract, so it does both the functions. That is different. So that is that. Only two questions are there in this chapter, and now we move on to the next chapter. So the next chapter is biomolecules. So here, uh, this is also a very big chapter, and this is a very important chapter from NEET perspective. So biomolecules are basically, this is a relation of biology and chemistry. So all the major elements of our body are described in this chapter, like carbon, hydrogen, and all the elements that are found inside our body. So they are described here, right? So this is the introductory paragraph, which gives a basic description of what elements are and stuff. Now this is the chemical composition of different elements and compounds which are found inside our body. So acids are found inside our body, polysaccharides are found, and this particular para is very important. Many questions are formed from this para only. It is, although it's an introduction, many questions, many trick questions, many even direct questions are formed. So you need to know each and every line of this para. This para specifically, it is very important from the NEET perspective. And now basically different type of compounds are described here, which are found in the body, like amino acids are found in the body, right? So the structure of amino acid is described, basic structure. What is a basic amino acid? The R group, the valence group, that is described here. Then the chemical properties of amino acids are described here, the neutral, the acidic, the basic amino acids. If you have done the chemistry of 11th, this would be a very easy chapter. So I suggest first you do the chemistry of 11th and then come to this chapter. Then this chapter will be very, very easy for you guys. And then lipids are described here, that what are lipids, what is the general solubility of lipids, the structure of lipids. As we know that lipids are generally water soluble, so the structure, why it is water insoluble, that is described. Then, as we move forward, the description of nucleic acids is there. We know that nucleic acids are the one which make up our DNA, right? So they are described here in detail that a nucleoside, what is a nucleoside, what is a nucleotide, then the nitrogenous bases found in our body like adenine, guanine, cytosine, right? So they are described. Then here these structures are very, very, very important from NEET perspective and also from the exam perspective. In NEET, they can just ask you the labeling. They'll draw these structures and they'll ask what is is it glycine or alanine, like that they can ask. Same with the fatty acids, cholesterol, everything. If you see the previous year papers in many papers, they have asked these. So this is very important from the perspective of NEET also. So at least the structures which are given here in the book that you should know. You should have an idea of what looks like what. Like fatty acids have a glycerol molecule, three fatty acids, and triglycerides. This basic you should know. This is a lecithin. Why the structure is different from fatty acid? How is it different? That should be clear in your mind. Many times they ask the which one of the this is an incorrect structure, so you should know, right? Then these are the nucleosides and nucleotides, so that you should know which has double rings. Double rings are the one which are called purines, and pyrimidines are the one which has single ring, right? So you should know that also. Here then there are metabolites, the description of metabolites, these are very easy. Primary and secondary. Primary are the ones which we get directly, and secondary are the ones which we extract from the primary, right? But this table is very, 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 very important. And direct questions in a need, like which of these is an example of alkaloid. So you should know all the alkaloids mentioned in the NCERT, right? So morphine, codeine are alkaloids. So they'll ask you the odd one out. So this table particularly, you should just mug it up. Many times, many questions are there. Match the following also comes from this table. So at least the examples of all the categories of secondary metabolites given here are very important. You should know at least those. And then the biomolecules are described. So we know that there are micromolecules and macromolecules. So how they are different, that is described here. The weight of by which they are classified. Then the ones found in our body are described like lipids, proteins, polysaccharides, nucleic acids, right? So they all are described here. Then the average composition of cells. This table is also important. Many times they ask the protein content of a body or the water content. So you should know the approximate value of the percentage found in our body. So approximate idea you should have of this table also. And the acid soluble and the acid insoluble pool is mentioned here. Acid insolubles are the one which are not soluble in acid. So which are these compounds, and the ones soluble, their differences mentioned here. And then basically for the rest of the chapter, the individual uh, compounds and the organic molecules found in our body are described, like proteins, carbs, fats are described individually, their structures, their properties, and everything. So they start with proteins, and the structure of proteins is described. What are essential amino acids? What are non-essential amino acids? Their examples are also given, I guess. And then this table is also important. Proteins and their functions. This is also asked many times in NEET exam. And then there are polysaccharides. So the structure of polysaccharides, how are different polysaccharides different? Like how is glucose different from glycogen, or how is starch different from glycogen? That is described structural wise, how they differ. So this is the basic description given of the polysaccharides. And then the cellulose is described because plants, the plant wall is made of cellulose, right? So it is described that how is that different from us or our cell membranes. And then nucleic acids are described. So this is a very small part. Nucleic acids basics are only described: purine, pyrimidine, all the nucleosides, nucleotides, or all the nitrogen bases are given. So that is a very basic description that is given over here. And then there are structure of proteins given. Right. So structure of proteins are basically proteins are divided into primary, secondary, and tertiary structures. And all of them differ in how the proteins are arranged in a particular plane. So that is very well given in the diagram. You can see here, these are primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary proteins. So there are four structures, proteins that are described. And here is the description of how they are different, how the complexity increases as a level of protein increase, obviously. So that is given. And then basically the last part of this chapter is in the enzymes, right? So basically description of enzymes, their structures, their properties, everything is given, so we can know the basic what enzymes do to our body, to our metabolism is given. So this is the introduction of what enzyme is. Enzymes are proteins and their structure differs from the normal amino acids or the proteins on our body, but they have all the important part, like what does an active site is given, catalyst, organic catalysts are the enzymes, inorganic catalysts found in chemistry, the experiments we do that are inorganic catalysts, so that is given. Now the chemical reactions are given, where the enzymes play a important role, that is given. So there are many reactions which can happen in our body even in the absence of enzymes, but the rate and the speed of the reaction will be very, very slow. And in the presence of the enzyme will act as a catalyst, and the reaction will occur very, very uh, rapidly. So that way, all the description of all the reactions are given, with the basic difference of without an enzyme, how does it act, and with the enzyme, how it acts. So that is given. Like you can see here, the reaction with the enzyme is 200 times faster as compared to without the enzyme. And here is the part of how does the enzyme bring such high rates? Why does the speed increase with the enzymes, or what do they do? So the reaction occurs fast, right? So the description of the structure of enzymes, how they does it, what are the active sites, how the substrate is converted to product, the description is given here. And this graph is very important. It is directly asked. Same graph is asked in NEET exam. They will ask you to label the parts. What is activation energy without the enzyme, with the enzyme? How is substrate converted to product? How is the energy change? It will decrease as we can see. Like from the substrate to the product, the energy will decrease. Right. So potential is decreasing. So they will ask which graph is correct, and you should figure out that all the parts given in the graph should be correct, like that. So this graph is very important from the NEET perspective. And then the description of the graph is given this side about what is an activation energy, why does the energy decrease with enzyme, that is given. And here there is the action of enzymes, like how does enzyme convert substrate into product, how does the enzyme bind to the substrate, and then when the product is made, how does the enzyme dearrange itself, how does it separate itself so it can act again. The whole process and the procedure of how the catalytic role of enzyme is given here. And lastly, these are the factors which affect the enzyme activity. So temperature, pH, concentration of substrate, concentration of product, everything can affect the rate of the reaction or the rate of how enzyme will act and the efficiency of enzymes. So these are the graphs where the change in pH and temperature with the enzyme is given. So we can see there is only a very slight narrow range of temperature and pH where the enzyme acts optimally, right? If the pH decreases this side also or increases this side, then the enzyme activity decreases. So these are the bell-shaped graphs. So you should remember how does enzyme activity change with temperature, with the pH. And then lastly, this is the classification of enzymes, the nomenclature and the classification. So there are 6 classes of enzymes that you should know, and there are certain examples given of each class. So at least the examples given here are very important. That should be very clear in your mind. And how each classes differentiate from each other, that is also given, and that should be also be clear. Like how oxidoreductase catalyze a particular reaction, how transferase act. Here, double bond is formed, lyase, or there are many questions asked based on the activity of how each enzyme acts, or what is the role, and how each enzyme differs, how each class of enzyme. So this classification is very important, and cofactors are given. Cofactors are basically the substances which help the enzymes in acting. So they even assist the enzymes to further increase the rate of reaction. So they are given the prosthetic groups can act as cofactors, many coenzymes as act as cofactors. So description of all that is given in the last of what all can act as a cofactor. Here also certain examples are given which are important, which are asked in exams many a times. So this part should also be read very carefully, and you should know line by line. Right. Now we'll do the exercises. So first question is, what are macromolecules? Macromolecules are basically those structures which has a weight more than 1000 Dalton and which are in the acid insoluble part. So in our body, proteins, lipids, fats, and nucleic acids all are macromolecules. Lipids has a weight below 1000 Dalton, but because they come in the acid insoluble fraction, when the cell membrane is disrupted, they don't dissolve in acid, so they come in the macromolecules. It is given in the chapter very nicely. The description, if you are writing it for the exam, you should write the whole point. All the points should be mentioned for getting full marks. Then second question is, what is meant by tertiary structure of proteins? So proteins, as we discussed, there are 3 structures of proteins, as we can see here, right? Sorry, 4 structures: primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. So what are secondary structures? That is, what are primary, what are secondary, tertiary, quaternary. All the description over here is given. So tertiary structures are basically those where there is folding of the protein inside itself, like a ball, as we can see here in the description, right? And in the diagram, it is the protein is folded in a wall like structure, so that is the tertiary structure. So you should know all the definition of all the structures of proteins and also the examples to write in the exams. Then the third question is, find and write about 10 interesting small molecular weight biomolecules and their the industry which manufactures. This is not important question. If you are interested, you can find it from the internet. It is not important from the exam or the NEET point of view. It is never asked because this is a general question. So it is never asked, and it is not important. Don't be asked even in the school exams. Then the fourth question is, find out and make a list of proteins that are used as therapeutic agents. So this is also not given in the chapter, but if you can find it from the internet, or if you can find it from other supplementary materials, there are many proteins. Like if you can see in shampoos, keratin is used in shampoos for avoiding the breakage of hair. Then thrombin is used in many medicines or given as injections to prevent the blood loss. Fibrinogen is used to break the clots of the body. Likewise, many proteins, insulin, we can see insulin is used for the diabetic patients to increase the insulin levels in their body and to decrease the glucose concentration. So these are all proteins, right? They all are used for therapeutic purposes. So these are the examples I gave. You can find more by the supplementary materials on the internet. From exam point of view, they won't ask these questions. The ones mentioned in the chapter are important, but only 1 or 2 examples are given, not more are given in the chapter. Then the fifth question is, we should explain the composition of triglyceride. So Triglyceride basically has three fatty acid molecules connected with a single glycerol. Because it's triglycerides, there are three fatty acid molecules. Likewise, there can be monoglyceride. There will be only one fatty acid molecule there. And in diglyceride, there will be two fatty acid molecules. And the structure is also given here. In the chapter, you can see here that this is the structure of triglyceride. Three molecules of fatty acids are connected to a single glycerol molecule. That is a triglyceride. So this is the structure for written exam. You should remember and you should know how to draw the structure of different proteins, fats. They can ask like this. Now, sixth question is also not important. You should make biomolecules using ball and stick models. Not important. It won't be asked in exams or anywhere. Then seventh question is draw the structure of amino acid alanine. So here also the amino acids also has a particular structure with a particular backbone which remains same in all the amino acids and two groups change. So here this is the structure of alanine. As you can see, methyl group is attached here with an hydrogen. So the carbon amino group and the acid groups remain same in all the amino acids. That is a common side chains. Only the hydrogen and the methyl group here that changes. Like in glycine, there is a hydrogen group. In serine, there is a alcohol group attached. So that changes in all the amino acids. So the ones given in the chapter, you should know their structures. It can be as given in the MCQs also. Now, eighth question is what are gums made of? Often is Fevicol different? This is also not given in the chapter, but gums are made up of polysaccharides, heteropolysaccharides. So different polysaccharides are combined together in certain proportions to make gums industrially. And Fevicol is not a polysaccharide; it is a polyvinyl alcohol. So it is not a polysaccharide. So this is also not given in the chapter. So that way, from NEET perspective, it's not important. And these are some, the ninth question is find out some qualitative tests for proteins, fats and oils and amino acids and what tests are positive in fruit juice, saliva, sweat and urine that we should find out. It is not given in the chapter, but maybe in chemistry you can find in the organic chemistry there will be certain tests given for different proteins, fats and oils, and from that if you know you can do, or for the examination, school examination purposes, maybe this can be asked. And in the NEET it won't be asked in the bio, but certainly from the chemistry section they can ask, because in the organic chemistry it's given very nicely, but from this perspective, bio perspective, in NEET it won't be asked. But for proteins, there tests like biuret test is there. And then for fat and oil grease test is there. For amino acid ninhydrin test is there. So you should first mention the tests which are there for each of this amino acid for each of the compounds, and then you should find out which of these is present in different components given here. So like in fruit juice, proteins would be present. So biuret test would be positive, but oils, fats won't be present, right? So that would be negative. Similarly, in saliva, proteins would be present, but fats and oils won't be present. Amino acids would be present in saliva. Then sweat, it differs. Proteins can be present, can be absent from sweat. Fats and oils can be present, sometimes would be absent. So that would differ. And in urine, proteins, fats, and amino acids, they all can be present, can be absent also. So that also is not certain. So that way you have to describe the test and the ones which are present in different components they ask. Then the 10th question is find out how cellulose is made and compare it with paper manufactured. And all this is also not given here in the chapter, and it's not important from the examination or the NEET perspective. It is a very generalized question. for our knowledge, for our environmental awareness they have given. So you can find the answer from internet. Um, just for your general knowledge, not important from the examination or the NEET perspective. And lastly, there's the last question is describe the important properties of enzymes. So there are very different properties of enzymes given in the chapter. The description is given very nicely. Because of these properties, they are able to catalyze the rate of the reaction, right? So many properties are there, like enzymes are basically the biological organic catalyst of our bodies. Then they are macromolecules. Their weight is in thousand or more daltons. Then they get affected by temperature, pH, substrate concentration is there, and then they have a very high turnover rate. So they can a small amount of enzymes can increase and can catalyze a large number of reactions, a large quantity of reactions. Only a small amount of enzymes is needed, that is there. Then they do not start a reaction, but they only accelerate a reaction that is given. Then they can help in breakdown of large molecules to small molecules. And then there is specificity in their action. Enzyme can only catalyze a certain reaction. It cannot catalyze another type of reaction. So there are specific enzymes for specific reactions. Many properties are there. You should figure out and write at least 5 or 6. You should know from the examination, school examination point. And for NEET perspective, they can ask you that which of these is correct, which of these is incorrect. So in that they can list all the properties, and then you should figure out if it's correct or not. So that way they can ask from NEET. For exams, you need to remember all the properties given in the NCERT. So that's that. Thank you.